Hey there, welcome to another draw along. Today we're going to be doing Han Solo in my cartoony style, so here we go. All heads, I always start with a circle. And remember, we're doing this in light pencil before we do the dark markers or inks or whatever you use. So we start off with a circle, and then go a little bit down and draw this sort of a chin shape, I guess a wide V below the circle. And now I guess we'll go ahead and set where the facial features will be, the eyes and the nose, sort of quartering the head there, I guess. With my style I use these big round circles for the eyes and make them look sort of like they've been pushed in a way. I like to imagine my illustrations looking like something you'd make from polymer clay or clay. Alright, and now I guess I'm just setting where the eyes are going to be later when I draw with the ink pen brush. This should be like an oval, but I just drew this shape, so you can just draw an oval underneath the head and show where the legs are going to be. I used to tell the kids in art class that you can make legs with rectangles, and here I am sort of joining those rectangles together at the knee with a circle. A lot of times when I'm drawing, I sort of envision the joints being like spheres of some sort, kind of pretending that it's one of those little wooden, drawing statues. And then the arms just come around, with curves, and you don't really have to draw where the elbows are because in this style there really aren't elbows, I guess. Hands are sort of a beast when you're a beginning drawer, a beginning artist, and so you have to do a lot of practicing to get them to look correctly. I don't put any more than 4 fingers on my characters in this style. I don't know why. I could just add one more or take one away and do the typical 3, but here's 4. And he's going to be holding his blaster, so there's really no way for me to explain how that really looks, but when we get down into the ink drawing, I can sort of describe it a little bit better. Okay, I'm reducing the opacity of the pencil drawing so I can just ink over it on another layer. For those of you following along on your iPads, hopefully you know what I'm talking about. But yes, I start each one of these sketches as a layer. And you can, if you're really careful, you can see where my Han Solo drawing is that I'm using as sort of a template. We're looking at 70s Han Solo here. We're not looking at the Empire Strikes Back Solo or anything beyond that, just a New Hope. And his hair, had the big old sideburns, and it was sort of, I don't know what to call it, feathered, but it was sort of unkempt. And that's kind of how I want to draw this, is sort of a little bit of an unkempt hairstyle with long sideburns. So quite simply, you just have to use some curved lines and keep the hairstyle loose. There I'm tracing the chin that I drew earlier in pencil. I guess I'm doing it over and over because I want to get it right. I kind of don't like when it doesn't turn out. Do you know what it's like, artists, where you draw something and it just doesn't come out the way you saw it? It's my, 3rd attempt? See that little wrinkle there? This is why I draw upside down on certain things, where I'm pulling the line and not pushing it. It's easier to control the line for me to pull it towards me rather than push it away from me. Little upside down U for a nose, and I'm putting his grin over to the side of his face. Looks a little odd, but he was always kind of a scoundrel, and he has a bit of a smirk. He's not your optimistic Luke Skywalker. He's sort of that cynical, weathered scoundrel. Now his eyebrows, they're thick, just like Harrison Ford's, and So I kept them that way. I'm drawing all of these features within those circles that I drew in pencil. And I guess I'm looking at refining some of the lines. I bet you can see where I'm going with this now. So I'm going to trace over, starting with the vest. If you really want to simplify it, the vest can be two rectangles on, either side of his torso. And he always wore his white shirt open collared. He never really buttoned it up. Looked kind of odd if it was. Or did he? You Star Wars fans out there with great attention to details, tell me, did he ever button it all the way to the top? I don't know. Hey, the arms. That's where I must be going next, right? Nope. His shirt, the bottom of it. And oh yeah, these guys back in the Star Wars, at least in the original trilogy, their belt buckles were always some, polygon, equilateral type shape, whether it was a square or what this is, an octagon. And there's his holster, just a simple oval. After I've drawn those two lines from the octagon, now I'm putting the curves to the arms. Once I do more of these, maybe I'll have a more systematic approach, and make a more logical step-by-step rather than just sort of going from one thing to another randomly. See what I mean by the hands? If you put a circle there, you can pretty much put the thumb and the fingers inside that circle. But until you do it yourself, it's just hard to describe a way to draw those lines to make them look like hands. Now, where his gun is, blaster, his thumb is the only finger that's shown because his other ones are holding on to, I guess, the trigger and the handle. So what's facing us is his scope. And you draw those with a cylinder and a cone. Kids, you remember those 3D shapes, yeah? And as an art teacher, though not 3D shapes, they are forms, geometric forms. Okay, so we're doing the legs here. Upside down V. Changing the opacity, looking at my line quality. That's the bottom of the holster. And then there's the other band that comes around the lower thigh. Okay. Now in the Star Wars universe, when you're wearing the boots, they're apparent boots. So to make them apparent, you tuck your pants in them. I remember when I was a kid, my brother and I, when we played Star Wars, we did have cowboy boots, and we used to tuck our pants in those cowboy boots to be Star Wars characters. Though, when you look at it yourself with pants tucked into cowboy boots, man, does that look crazy weird. But what I'm drawing here with these curved lines are the sort of the wrinkles in the pants right above the boot. Okay. Turn this puppy around. Oh, look at that. Gotta curve it. If I had a program like this when I was in my graphic design courses, it would have been much easier. And if any of you, I know some of my friends on Facebook are still teachers up there at UNT. I still value the education, but gosh, maybe I should have waited for another couple of years so I could use the computers instead of having to ink my logos myself. But that is something that I've learned that you can't replace when you learn those techniques. Okay, so I'm going ahead and going to finish the gun, even though I should have done it before I moved on to other things. It's what's shown underneath the scope is simply another cylinder, and then I should be drawing the cone in the front, where where the end of the gun is. Never understood the idea of a telescoping sight on top of a handgun, like our hand blaster, like this. Doing some cleanup. Alright, now we're going to start working on the boots here, and these are really simple. 2 straight lines down. They should get a little bit closer to each other when you get down far enough, and then end it off with sideways U, or in this case I guess it would be a C. And let's see here. Again, an easy way to draw these lines is to pull your pen towards you. Okay, there you have it. Han Solo, in my style. Now, to add color, I used just a limited palette, but I put them in, filled them in as flat colors first, then added all of my shading last. So I'm laying in the shading really rough, and then going in, I'll smooth it out. But putting these there, it's not a lot. They add a little bit of dimension. And you see how those eyes look like they're dented in. I don't know why I do it that way. It's just something I started and haven't stopped. So we did our line drawing, and here it is, Han Solo in glorious color. Okay, we'll see you next time. But in the meantime, don't forget to visit my Facebook or Instagram at Burk Illustration. And please like, subscribe, and share. Until next time.